The death of 7 times consul, Gaius Marius, in 86 BC left the other consul, Lucius Cornelius Cinna, as the unofficial leader of the Marian faction. Cinna likely maintained this control by not challenging Marius the Younger, who was eager to pick up his father's mantle. Acting as a sort of mentor to the 23-year-old man, it's likely the elder statesman stroked the vanity of Marius the Younger, anxious to preen, while quietly maintaining control of the government from the security of his consular chair. To replace the deceased consul, Cinna appointed Lucius Valerius Flaccus to be his co-consul for the remainder of the 86 BC term. Cinna and Flaccus immediately began conscription of 2 new legions. The people of Rome, who were weary of civil war and bloodshed, were told these legions were being sent to Greece to aid Sulla in his war against Mithridates. However, in reality, the new legions were being sent to kill Sulla. Cinna also worked to strengthen the Marian party, which had been left overpowered by the Sullans. As Sulla had done before leaving Rome, Cinna arranged a healthy amount of marriages and alliances within the Populares party. Marius the Younger was married to Mucia Tertia, the daughter of Rome's Pontifex Maximus, and co-author of the Lex Licinia Mucia that had been one of the catalysts of Rome's social war. One of Caesar's sisters was married to Marcus Attius Balbus, an equite who seems likely to have supported the Marians. Caesar's other sister, however, was married to the patrician, Lucius Pinarius. We do not know if this Pinarius was a Marian or a Sullan, but it should be noted that Sulla had many supporters from within the family of Caesar's mother. Perhaps Caesar's father and mother attempted to place children into each political party's camp. The marital status of the young Julius Caesar, during this period, is still under dispute. Coins were printed by both Caesar's family, and the family of a young woman named Cossitia, honoring an intended marriage. Whether or not Caesar actually married Cossitia, or if she was simply his intended, the pact between the Caesars and the family of Cossitia was forced apart by the political necessity of the Marian regime. As a nephew to the late Gaius Marius, Caesar was chosen to fill the office of Flamen Dialis, which had been vacated when Lucius Cornelius Merilla committed suicide on Jupiter's altar. But, per the restrictions for this priestly office, Caesar could not hold the Flamanate while simultaneously married to any but a patrician woman. Not only were both the Flamen and Flaminica required to be patrician, but they were also obligated to be married conferatio. Conferatio was a form of Roman marriage which could not be broken by divorce. It was a marriage until death, regardless of any extenuating circumstances. Although by this point in the late Roman Republic, few people chose conferatio marriage over the more convenient manus marriage, which allowed for either partner to seek divorce for various violations, Rome's most prestigious religious offices still demanded this strict form of marriage. Because appeasing the god, Jupiter, was a full-time duty for both the Flamen and Flaminica, the office of Flamen Dialis came with many restrictions designed to curtail its holder from seeking alternate political or military glory. The Flamen existed only to serve Jupiter, and not himself. Foremost among these restrictions was the Flamen's constant proximity to the temple of Jupiter Capitolinus. He was not permitted to sleep outside his own bed for any more than 3 consecutive nights, and was not allowed to spend even a single night outside the city of Rome, proper. With this restriction, no Flamen Dialis could ever hope to govern a province. The Flamen was also not allowed to appear in public without his proper, priestly vestments of wool cloak, felt shoes, and head covering known as the apex. This restricted the young Flamen from enjoying the rite of passage due all young noble men of donning his toga virilis, or toga of manhood, once he reached the appropriate age. A man's toga, whether decorated with a wide purple stripe, narrow, or none at all, was a visual confirmation of his family's social status. However, the Flamen, in his attire, could represent only Jupiter. It was unlawful for the Flamen Dialis to have his hair or nails cut by a slave. Only freedmen could perform this task, and they were obligated to bury the hair and nail clippings beneath a sanctified arbor. There was a long list of things a Flamen and Flaminica could not touch, including, but not limited to, flour, leaven, leavened bread, beans, any type of raw flesh, dogs, or she-goats. He could not touch ivy, nor pass beneath a walkway that was canopied by it. Although he was permitted to attend funerals, the Flamen Dialis could not enter into any mausoleum or burial site. He could not touch a dead body, nor could he witness the exact moment of death. This meant the Flamen could never fight in the legions, which was one of many routes that could end in fame and glory for a Roman man. It was also illegal for the Flamen to be in the presence of any table not laden with food. Any home he entered had to have a full table laid with food before the home's owners could admit him through the front door. The restrictions imposed on Rome's Flamen and Flaminica guaranteed only a lifetime of pious servitude to Jupiter. For Caesar, any hope that he might follow in the footsteps of his famous uncle, Gaius Marius, would have been instantly crushed with his new priestly appointment. We do not know whether Caesar's appointment to the Flaminate was the work of Gaius Marius, before his death, or of Lucius Cornelius Cinna, but the bride chosen for Caesar to share in this lifelong priesthood was none other than Cinna's own daughter, Cornelia Cinna, also known as Cinilla.